Here we go. Time for another sprint zone. 624, 2025. And I've decided to keep the vivid selection for the camera. Makes the colors pop a little bit more. You can definitely see it on like Isla's bike there and on Tom's Rio kit in the lower left-hand corner there. And everyone is pretty well ordered, 2 by 2 by 2. I had to make my little speech to some of the people before we started about keeping the handlebars parallel. It looks pretty. A little bit of sloppiness back there, but for the most part, okay. Up front there, we've got Curtis McIlvaine as we relax into the beginning of the sprint zone. The signal is made. And before we get started here, I'd like to thank Curtis Jensen for his telemetry. And it's always nice to have something to compare. My telemetry today is kind of wonky. That my power meter is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, so I would not believe anything that it actually says. It cuts out, and that's because I have the old Watt Team one. It probably needs to be recalibrated, but the game is afoot. So Curtis coming back a little bit, popping in. Wolfgang looking around to see if are people coming forward. Is everyone around here? I think at this point, the standard rules of engagement have been met, and everyone's around the corner, and it's too much lollygagging for me. 20 miles an hour, and it seems like these days people are just looking to ride coattails for like a long time. And I don't know, it's the lethargy here. And so we got Curtis, who's been joining us recently, Curtis M, and then we got Fred up front. Nice 2 by 2, and there's no sense of urgency here. And I am going off the front, and they're just letting me walk off the front. 18 miles an hour, and because my power meter is just wonky, I'm looking at my heart rate to see how much I'm actually working, and 170 beats. That's pretty good. In the old days, it would have been totally tapped. It's close to my threshold, and I just like to thank my good buddy COVID for giving me a higher heart rate. That kind of sucks. I'm waiting for the time that my heart rate returns to normal ranges for these efforts. In any case, I digress from my whining. And the posse is kind of just letting me just walk off the front. They're still quite organized here, and no one is willing to actually jump up and join me to make anything happen. And, I think maybe I should sit back one of these days and just kind of ride coattails. And unless some of the supers are here, Mr. Nelson, JC, maybe Byron, nothing is going to happen. And so I continue to walk with the front. So now, like, I'm all in. Heart rate 177. I am maxed out. And I'm just hoping to make it across the crest of the hill to be able to recover a little bit, use the speed of the hill and get some advantage here because we're out here. And we can see, looking at the speed of the posse, 23 miles an hour, my speed 23. There's no sense of urgency here. They're just kind of letting me go. Heart rate coming down a little bit for myself. And you can see Curtis Jensen back there sitting in, his heart rate way low, his wattage way low compared to mine. And you can see, the advantage of like just sitting in. My speed up to 24. And now I think there's a sense of urgency as the speed of the posse has increased. So they're doing 26 now. I'm doing 25. And it's only a matter of time until I get caught. And I'm hoping to make it to this corner, the little corner with the little grade there before the posse comes through. But that's like just wishful thinking as they are ramming and a thumping and coming hard. And it looks like I think that's Scott on the front there driving the posse. Since I guess he is like the strong man in the group these days. Well, I guess it'd be maybe between him and McIlvaine, not certain like which one's stronger. Although Tom's been riding pretty strong, but he's one to hide. And just follow wheels. Anyway, I make it almost to that corner, and the catch is made. Nice work, Scott. We got Wolfgang sitting in there. Maybe Wolfgang's one of the stronger ones, too, definitely. There goes Tom and Steve, and I kind of settle in here. I do not want to go back too far because I'll get caught back behind people that are not able to hold the pace. And we'll see that later, unfortunately. Looking here, and there's Danny coming through there, and he has that little let a gap open up sprint kind of style there. That is basically my nemesis. I do not like to burn matches closing little gaps like that. I just want to keep a smooth closure. And there we go. Labeling people. We got Curtis Jensen, Elisa, and Dean there, and it's Curtis's power that you see there. just playing with the editing software to see if I could do the multiple like labeling and follow, and that worked out pretty well. So I might do that, but it's like kind of time consuming because it's an extra render. So Dean looking strong here, coming through. Very nice, representing the Rio squad, and he's been riding pretty strong recently, and I think pretty certain this might be their last ride before the Steamboat Gravel. In fact, there's a lot of people in this posse that will be doing the Steamboat Gravel. Jamie, who's not here today. We got Dean. We got Elisa back there. I believe Tom is also. Isla is. And maybe even Greg. I don't know. I think Greg's skipping this one out because of injury. Okay, looking rearward, I've got a reasonable slot here behind Dean. Dean is a good draft, steady wheel, and we slow down a little bit. And this was kind of good. Looks like nobody really wanted to take up the earnest chase. I was caught, and this little grade is coming up, and now we're kind of playing cat and mouse. And I am okay with that. You see the posse back here just kind of bunching up. Got Curtis coming up on my right shoulder here, and I did not really want him there. Like, I had a good draft behind Dean, so I'm going to just hold my position here. Make everybody just earn their spot here. Elisa looking strong in the Rio kit. Scott just kind of sitting in, the strong man, and the group is just letting him sit there. The strongest man in the group, just kind of riding coattails. And maybe he's having a recovery for today. You know, he's been riding pretty strong. He's been on the podium most races. Not certain if that happened the last race, but I'm certain he had a good showing. Dean looking strong there. Danny begins to stand up and tapping out, dancing on the pedals as people go up the little grade here. And a little bit of separation. Then there's Danny with the, let me just catch up again thing. And we have to close this gap, but slowly. And Dean is a good wheel to do that. Little wiggle waggle going up front, and no one wants to take up the mantle. No one wants to be at the pointy end of the stick because it is sharp and it is painful. Everyone's kind of looking around. I see Steve looking around up there. He's like, oh, is it my turn to go? Nobody else wants to go. Tom was up near the front. It would have been his turn, but he was just sandbagging back there, and he's a strong rider. And there goes Scott and John here, and this kind of surprised me, and I know it surprised Tom. They rocketed up that right side really quickly. And I think Tom was a little bit surprised on that one. And I would caution rocketing up the either side, especially the right-hand side, like that quickly. That could have been ended in calamity. It's a good thing that, Tom, being a savvy rider, had looked over his shoulder, double-checked to make certain. But that's one of those things that you could check and not check and be like, oh, what's going on here? And I'm certain that there was no announcement there. In any case, looking rearward, we got... It looks like Elisa back there and newcomer from the Fort Collins Cycling Club, Kathy. And I think it was Greg back there hanging on. And now I'm back to a spot where I do not want to be here. There's strong riders here, but there's a few riders in front of me that I don't really want to be there because I know that there's going to be problems, and that problems get amplified as things go rearward here. Pedaling strong, got Steve taking his time coming back here. And this is going to be a problem for me when the acceleration starts, and you'll see that in a second. John tapping out a good tempo, and here is a selection point. This little bit of a grade. Everyone gets the straight, and here I am holding tempo. I am expecting to go with this little acceleration. And here we go, and I am ready, and then John is unable to go with it. Steve is blocking my path here. I'm like, I have momentum, and I could have been with this, and I was like, ugh. Dean unable to hold the pace, and then Steve kind of slowly takes the mantle, but now I am gapped off. And this was a little bit frustrating at the time. I mean, was I working? Yeah. Heart rate 181, and could maybe I have held that pace? I don't know, but I could have been there. In any case, I'm not. And now it's my turn to try to go up here, try to go do something here. Steve was obviously tired. You can see he's working hard. And I don't know. So Dean comes by and asks me if I want to go up there. And I'm like, not with the kind of acceleration he's going to put on, because that is not going to work for me at this point. I just don't have it in my legs. And they are just dangling up there. And the group is working pretty well together here, just hanging on. Here comes Dean, gives the signal, but he looks back that he is coming off. He looks to see if Elisa's coming by. Don't know if she took the hint, but maybe no mas. She was unable to come through. My heart rate, 180, 181. So I'm maxed out at this point. And then there's Steve gives up the ghost here. As it is no more for him. Kathy's sitting back there. Greg gives it up. And then John opportunistically goes around Dean, not looking to help the group, but looking to help himself after sitting in. And it's a little frustrating after, like, he was one of the people that couldn't follow the wheels, and then Jack Rabbit's off like that. Mental note, and I'll just state it for the camera, I do not want to be behind him on these things. Yeah, perhaps that's a little bit harsh, but, that's my reality at this point. And in this case, everybody comes through. I'm basically spent at this point, and I've like given it up. Heart rate's still pretty high here, and it's game over. And yeah, maybe I should not have gone off the front. And yeah, maybe I would have had a few more matches to maybe cover some of those things that I almost could have covered. But I had a good time. I was able to work hard, get that high intensity that they say they need to help your VO2 max. Because Lord knows, I will not be doing that on my own unless I am pushed. In any case, a good time was had by all. Nice work, everyone. Nice work. Kind of just cruising in through here. Need to get my power meter, or get my pedals put on or something, or recalibrate this power meter. It's kind of frustrating or annoying not to know what you're really doing out there, and you have to go by feel. And I'm fine going by feel, but it's nice that when you have the video to be able to go back, oh yeah, I was hurting, or I'm definitely above my station, and then how much above my station like was I? But that was good. That was good. I enjoyed that one. All right, that's it for me. Until next time, peace out, everyone, and to all a good night. Yeah, I definitely do miss having Scott's camera. Don't know really on that one, but they can comment if they want to, if they see it. Anyway.